pipeline on tree and woody plants and on ornament coming months. Now, I would like to initially extend special thanks to Dr. Purnima Sharma, the very able, dynamic Managing Director of Biotechnology Consortium of India Limited, for being a partner under our EPCOP, a Council of Agriculture program on biotechnology and bioresources. And she has been heading the BCIL, which has been actively involved in technology transfer, project consultancy, fund syndication, information dissemination, and manpower training and placements related to biotechnology. She has an enormous contribution to her credit. Now, I am glad to have co-chairs Dr. S.K. Singh, Head Division of Fruit and Horticulture Technology of IERI, and Dr. Prabhat Kumar, who is the Horticulture Commissioner, Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India. We have renowned experts today from India, from RIO Iran, which is a very important member and partner of APARI, and from Nigeria, who will be making presentations and participate in panel discussions, where we will also have people from industry leaders and area experts on significance, best quality, management practices, and way forward. I am really grateful to Dr. Shivkant Shukla, Deputy General Manager, and my colleague, Dr. Rishi Tyagi, who is coordinating the EPCOP program, under which we are organizing this webinar, for being the key architect of the webinar series and including this webinar. And I'm also grateful to all the staff of BCIL and of APARI for working behind the scene to make it happen. My very special thanks and welcome to all the participants from Asia and Pacific and Africa, and welcome also on behalf of Dr. Purnima Sharma, who due to some connectivity issue could not welcome you all. Having said that, I would like to give a very brief on APARI. APARI is Asia Pacific Association of Agriculture Research Institution, and we have a very clear mission of strengthening agri-food research and innovation systems in the region for sustainable development. We work under 4 thematic areas of natural resource management, which also include biotechnology and bioresources. And then we have other areas of risk mitigation. Then we work on policy and advocacy, and we work on all the projects related to inclusive development, such as like work on the pro-poor value chain. We have a clear strategic plan under which we operate. We are a membership-based organization. We have more than 80 members, which include 22 country members and all the international organizations like 1CG now. There were 11 CG institutes as members before, other international organizations. And we have a number of regional fora like SARC, like SPC, Secretariat of Pacific Community, and others. And we also have some private sector and education sector as members. It is a cocktail of members, actually, which makes APARI's overall contribution to the agriculture very interesting. We have projects right now we have secured from WTO on Asia pesticide risk mitigation and promotion of biopesticide, for which we work in South and Southeast Asia. We have projects from FAO, where we work on innovations quite a lot. And we have a joint action plan with another organization called APIRAS, Asia Pacific Island Rural Advisory Services, where we are trying to have, again, a lot of policy briefing on biotechnology and agroecology. Then we work with ACIAR Australian Centre of International Agriculture Research on policy issues of agriculture science technology indicator in Southeast Asia and going to work in Pacific very soon. We also have a very big project from USDA, from US, on the phytosanitary compliances, but that is focused on Bangladesh. Besides that, we work with European Union and French Agency for Development projects on agroecology. The project is called ASET, Agroecology and Safe Food System Transitions, in Mekong region in Asia with 38 partners. And we have some other small projects also. This webinar is under our EPCOP project, which Dr. Rishi Tyagi is leading, and for which we are grateful to Council of Agriculture Taiwan for kindly supporting us financially. And we have made some very significant contributions under the EPCOP program. And I'm happy to say with BCIL, we are also trying to develop a policy resource document, which relates with the on the topic of genome editing with experts from Asia Pacific, which will be finalized very soon. Now, having said this brief about APARI, I just want to say one line that partnerships and member benefit is the key for APARI. Our aim is really to see how best we can reach to stakeholders to help them contribute in their noble mission of resolving food security, hunger, climate action, and so on. The importance of the webinar and biotechnology, I don't think I should highlight, because otherwise I will be preempting the presentations and panel discussions to be made by the experts. But I will just say, United Nations Food System Summit held last year on agri-food system has amply highlighted the importance of biotechnology, including plant tissue culture. And this is a subject we are really happy to promote along with BCIL. In the interest of time, I may like to stop here, but I wish all success to the webinar and hope it generates more networking and collaboration among stakeholders who are actively involved in plant tissue culture activities for research, development, and commercialization. I stop here. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Dr. Shukla.
Thank you so much, sir, for setting the tone and stage of this important webinar, which will have presentation of all the eminent experts and then followed by panel discussion. So if Dr. Purnima Sharma is on network, I would request her to briefly just say a few words so that we can move on to Dr. Prabhat Kumar, co-chairman of this session.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, you're audible.
Hello?
Clearly audible.
Okay. So I'm really very sorry, some network problem. So, I, of course, thank Dr. Khetarpal for having welcomed everyone, although I was supposed to extend a warm welcome. So anyway, to start with, I really thank APARI, given us this responsibility for organizing these series of 4 workshops, webinars. And plant tissue culture force is one of our major thrust areas. We have extensive experience, expertise in this area. And we are very happy that in association with the APARI, we are able to take forward this thrust areas. As we've structured these 4 webinars in such a way that all crops are covered. So I think nothing much to say. I extend a very, very warm welcome to all our experts. I would, in fact, take names of at least this is the least I should be doing. So a very, very hearty welcome once again to Dr. Ravi Khetarpal, Executive Prabhat Kumar, who's the Horticulture Commissioner, Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. S.K. Singh, KIARI, Dr. And also all our experts who have agreed to give presentations. And so there are a number of them. We really heartened to have all of them with us. So once again, thank you, our expert speakers, Dr. Vinod Soni, Dr. Aziz, Dr. Tarun Arora, Dr. Ali Reza, Dr. Professor Innova, and Dr. Vidya Gupta. So really, I'm also heartened and thanks to all the participants. Dr. Shukla said about 700 participants are there. So thank you so much. And we really look forward to working closely with APARI to take forward a lot of things to be done in this tissue culture area. So we look forward. Thank you once again, and very, very sorry there was some network problem. Thank you, Dr. Shukla.
It's fine, ma'am. Sometimes it happens. So thank you once again for your encouraging words. So now we have very important person in terms of Indian agriculture, Dr. Prabhat Kumar is a horticulture commissioner in Government of India, and he is a key person for implementing the various key programs in agriculture, horticulture. Is PhD holder in the area of floriculture landscaping from IERI New Delhi. Before that, he was the scientist, principal scientist. He had many positions. So he has the experience of various ground reality. He has published many research papers, authored book, and he coordinated the very important program for the monitoring of agriculture related activity, that is a CAST, Center for Agriculture, Advanced Agriculture Science and Technology. Apart from that, he has visited many countries. So other than having the experience of the Indian agriculture system, he has witnessed closely the agricultural sector in Netherlands, Switzerland, Germany, Belgium, France, many more. So welcome, sir. Dr. Prabhat Kumar, Horticulture Commissioner, Government of India. Over to you, Dr. Prabhat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sivakant Shukla, for just giving a very nice intro of mine and a very courteous word. Thank you very much. And let me welcome and congratulate also, because once I come to know that this topic, tissue culture of perennial food, cash crops, significant best practices and way forward. When I was approached, really it was just thrilling to me, because we are here at a ministry level, we are looking for quality planting material. So before to start and say a few words about the horticulture, let me welcome and pay my regard to Ravi Khetrapal ji. He is my senior, and Dr. Tyagi is a brotherly figure for me, and we have been associated for a long time. And Punima Sharma ji, Aziz Torahi, and all, because I'm not going into detail. Ravi Khetrapal Saab has done our job, for the welcoming. I'll directly come to the issue, because horticulture you are talking about. So I will give you some glimpses how the horticulture revolution is taking place in the country. If you see, it is 18% of the arable land of the India, but it is giving 333.25 million ton. Now it has crossed the food grain production. So that is happening, and it is with the 27.56 million hectare land only. So if you see with the 18% of the land and see the total production, it is happening. So it is encouraging us. The second thing is that we are now here for the tissue cultural plant or quality planting material. So if you see the productivity part, it is 15 metric ton only in the fruits, and 18 metric ton in the vegetable, and 4 metric ton in the plantation crop. So that is the importance. Why? Because we are here to talk about the basically productivity laden growth. Now area expansion growth we have achieved. It is a very high time for the country to think on the productivity laden growth. So for the productivity laden growth, we need a quality planting material. That is the need of our, and a simple analysis we have done through our ICR with other institutions, and we come to know that in the coming 5 years on the main crop, we need 1.37 crore planting material. And the crops are, you see, apple, walnut, almond, date palm, grapes, and kiwi. So basically, we have gone for that and we come to that tune. Now we are planning to import those plants, because if you see the productivity difference in SDP and conventional, and factoring in the quality planting material, a success story we have seen in the Kashmir and in the Himachal Pradesh. If we are coming with the good quality planting material, you see it is going to increase the 4 to 5 times productivity. That HDP is that also their high density planting material. So this 4-5 time it is contributed by the more number of plant, but you per se, if you see the per plant productivity, it has increased substantially once we are using the quality planting material. So that is the important, and I'm happy to see that most of the speakers, they are having the good authority on those crop once I am going to deal here in the ministry, and where we are lacking, planting material. So that is one thing. And I would like, after this deliberation, I wish, the deliberation should come with the intended objective. But my objective as a minister from ministry side can be have some sort of, result framework wherein we can map the India, and we can develop a clean planting center. That is very much important, because in tissue culture, if you see, I have seen the people, you are saying that it is a certified, system is there, certification system is there. So in nursery, we are going for the accreditation through the NHB. So why not to give a few or some, thrust to the tissue culture industry? This should be accredited and it should come into the policy level. So Sivakant Shukla, we can meet and we can see how a policy can be, formulated for that, for the promotion of the tissue cultural plant. And the success story, the people will tell. I'll only will say, you see in the floriculture, if you see in the particularly herbaceous origin plants, tissue culture has paid a lot of dividend. And since 90s, if you see, revolution took place, particularly in floriculture, particularly in herbaceous plant, to banana. If you see in banana, now you see the productivity is highest in the India, and that has given that we have achieved by through the quality planting material. So true to type quality planting material, that is the you with the very small analysis, if we can arrive up to the 1.5 crore, planting material, I think many more are required. It is just for the 4-5 crops. So I wish this such type of deliberation, the scientific deliberations, but we have to go up to the grassroots level, how to convert the science into this knowledge, into a functional knowledge and skillful knowledge, where we are going to give the dividend to the real stakeholders. Those are the farmers. So only from my side, that is from my side. Thank you very much, Sivakantji, for inviting me to have my thoughts here, and I'll not take time because we have to listen the experts here. Once again, thank you very much, and I congratulate.
Thank you very much, sir, for this encouraging word. Just would like to inform you that BCIL is working closely with this sector for last 2 decades. And personally, I have visited all the tissue culture companies in India, across from JNK to Kerala, from Northeast to Kutch. So we know the ground reality. And since you have all the practical exposure to this sector, you know their constraint. So definitely we would meet with you, and we would try to develop some kind of program to support the Indian plant culture sector, because apart from having quality management system, all subsidy, many small companies, they are struggling for some technical constraint, and many small units, they are not able to survive. Is also a fact. So definitely we'll meet and we'll try to develop some program under your kind guidance. So thank you very much, sir. With this, now we would move towards our technical session. And we have with us today Dr. Sanjay Kumar Singh, SK Singh. He's a very, very renowned expert in the area of plant science, especially tissue culture of the fruit perennial species, fruit species. He's a professor and a head of division of fruit and horticulture science. He is especially working in mango, guava, apple, custard apple, and many more. He is also pioneer expert in the area of functional genomics, and he is authored number of books, research papers, and recipient of many awards. So welcome you, sir. And now it is over to you, Dr. SK Singh.
Thank you, Dr. Shukla, for those kind words. First of all, I extend my very warm welcome to Dr. Sharma, Dr. Khetrapal, Dr. Tyagi, my fellow subject matter specialist here, panelists, and most importantly, the delegates from over 40 countries who are there this morning to join us in this deliberations. When Dr. Shukla approached me, he wanted to have me presenting the scenario, what academia has done in this plant tissue culture. And especially when I am ardent, still I teach the plant tissue course here in IRI. And I am very nostalgic in the sense when we had a very strong relationship with the University of Delhi in early 50s, when we started the first tissue culture lab here in horticulture division with Dr. Aran Singh in 1958. Then we had the papayas. I'm very happy to see Dr. Prabhat Shukla, horticulture commissioner, joining us this morning, and he has given the requirements what we have until the 2030. This particularly, the demand what he has projected is a huge demand because there has been a paradigm shift from the field crops to the horticulture crops. When we talk about the doubling of farmer income or extending more visibility to this sector to processing and export. So diverse is the plant material, huge requirement for. I'm not going to talk about these are the basic things. Rather why we have the fruits and the perennial system, what Dr. Shukla was talking about. A huge planting material, is required, a lot have been imported, and is a big responsibility on South Asia and Southeast Asia, which would be the production hub of planting material. We are there in the traditional method, but for horticultural crop per se, what we have in case of banana, strawberry, date palm, we have started. So I will be covering roughly the research which have been done in the NAS here, and also what we require in future too. We know, when it was the topic was given, I wanted to have, because A.V. Thomas, we cannot forget, because this was a landmark year when DBT was born, and then, the other, the NCL, they had a collaboration, and when there was a need felt, because this is basically a spice a company which was exporting spice, so they needed a lot of quality planting material then, and that's how it started. The release of technology started, then Indo-American hybrid seed came, and then this sector went into the ornamental crops, medicinal plant, and banana per se. These are some of the, when we talk about the countries which are dominating, you can see Netherlands, US, Italy, Canada, Australia, Japan, Kenya. These are the belt where we have they are importing a lot. So we see, when we see this, it is in the Asia Pacific region, you see, almost all, and Africa too, because a lot of planting material is being exported to these countries. And roughly, we are exporting 17.17 million plants, so it's a huge demand. And around Netherlands is the king. We know that this industry is very much sound out there, and the major crops are banana, pineapple, strawberry. And recently, what we had APEDA, because these are the exportable material. So again, it has developed a protocol for this plant, how it has to go, and the quality standards. It is also there, specified by the APEDA. As far as the the NARS is concerned, these are the crops, because banana already web series 1 has been done, and we know that. But for the woody plants, you can see, it starts from the different SAUs, which are there dealing with them. They have developed their protocol or refined it, and it is there. And these are many of them. They have even gone for the commercialization and signed MOU with the private companies, and they are doing. I'll show you how. Which are the crops where. In the ICR system, rather, we are crop-specific institutes, national research centers, and again, the mandate crops are there, and very much what the team has been put to on the perennial or the woody plants. At IRI, we do on some, then IHR Bangalore, Lucknow, Bikaner, and NRC citrus, huge success in citrus is there. Banana, of course, the success story is there. Pomegranate, of course, one of my students is leading that team there. So this is also a reality where commercial propagation is happening, micropropagation is happening. Of course, little bit when we are, DBT initially had played a huge, monetary help to establishing the sector, organizing sectors, and then the initial, the 80s and the early 90s when the national centers were born, and at that time, MPTs were there, and this is how it pans out to be. And Terry had a major role on the, in the fruit crops and also in agroforestry species they were working. So that's how the commercialization and the initial help was given to this sector. One more thing which Dr. Shukla pointed about, that national certification system, it is very much in place, DBT again, and BCIL has got a major role to play because it is the agency which accredits the tissue culture lab, and no quality planting material can go without certification and getting the clonal fidelity and the freedom for virus. And there are certain, laboratories in the private sector too, and also in the government sector. This is the total protocol. We have it. This is, it has to be adhered to if you are going into the commercial venture anytime. Now, a little bit, I'll just talk about the program because not into the technicalities, what is the media composition or so, but the crops. This one of my student, he is at NRC Solapur at Pomegranate. This is a success story there. They have, I'm going to show you from laboratory to the commercialization or the, the private companies doing huge success here because they had a problem of bacterial spot. It's a huge, it should create a huge loss to the crop, and it is spread through the conventional cutting derived plants. So that was, this method was the only answer to them. And this is how they standardized it. And they, the protocol was done. Then they had gone for the, even micronization. I like to highlight because biohardening, it gave me, when we are in late 90s, when I was working on this, I had to have a lot of failures. So then that time we started working on biohardening using different bioagents, mycorrhization, then use of other azotobacters, trichoderma in our hardening system, so that why not to inoculate them and get the plants ready, which gives us excellent ex vitro survival. So that how the marriage of microbiology and tissue culture research, we started doing it, and very good success were achieved. So this is what he's also applying there, and that's how it was in majorly in Bhagwa. And this is a reality that these companies are also exporting the plant material from this. And this is almost within last 5 years, they could produce around 8 lakh plants with the help of these companies which have come out and they have taken the license for these pomegranate Bhagwa. Similarly, in date palm, in Gujarat, Anand, it is there, it is working on it. And even the Navsari Agriculture Universities, they have taken a lead. Then, CIAH and CI at Bikaner and Kazari, they have taken a lead. They got the success, and now it has taken a small shape of an industry, which is also been practiced there for commercial realization and entire protocol. Because this, they take it from the indirect pathway, and that's how they have got it. They have even tested the clonal fidelity. And they have, many of the, major varieties rather, Halavi, Kalas, and even because this is one crop where the waiting period is very much. After planting, you have got to have using the traditional planting material that is offset. So tissue culture plant here, it is very costly, and that's how the industry started pouring in India to get the planting, because a lot of plant is to come from Morocco and other countries from the Africa and the Central Asian. So that's how this they started, and still the cost is a concern. So again, here also, if we bring the plant and get to a clonal, true to type ones, excellent, planting can be established and it can be worked out. You can have a quality plant, and they have shown that there's a carryover effect of the tissue culture on the earliness. That is, the juvenile period is short, and those plants, they come into bearing early. This is just, one of my students, he's there at Bikaner, and he has done this, and they have transferred this technology to the private company. They are producing it in Gujarat. This is the glimpse of that complete protocol per se. And they have, and this is working well, because the farmers, they are interested in this type of material. They don't, because there's a difference in age, so you don't know exactly when the plant will start fruiting. So they have for the male plants and the fruit plants, and then they try to have it a perfect, plantation which can go under high density. This is, even the secondary hardening structures they have got, and they try to have, because this is one area where I like to emphasize that it is not that tissue culture plant lab has to come up in all the regions and all the sectors. No. Secondary hardening structures, you can have it in the, the cities where you don't have air conditioned weather, like Bangalore, Pune, or what. Because that's the history. Because commercialization, when it happened, more than 250 industries, they were born in India, but now hardly 100. Why? Because they are hanging around the cities which are air conditioned, or they are foothills, Dehradun, Solan. These are the regions where we can have the labs. Pune, Bangalore, they are surviving because the cooling is a concern, and the cost of power is very high in some of the. That's why the cost of production becomes very high. So that has to be reduced. If it is a naturally air-conditioned weather available, excellent. There, the plant production will be so easy. This is the glimpse. They are doing it in the government of Rajasthan. It's promoting the tissue culture so that it can basically become. And even in Gujarat, big area under tissue culture date palm is there. And even from some of the, the prized one, these are some of the varieties which are, these are for export. Even the Middle East countries are importing the plant material from there. Similarly, mention was made regarding the apple rootstock. Huge. Now it has to be high density, spur type varieties, and that too on a rootstock, which are devoid of foliaphase or any other disease thing, so that we can have with the dwarfing rootstocks. So it has to be grafted. So bulk is required. So new area in Uttarakhand, Himachal, and Jammu Kashmir and Arunachal, it has to come up on these rootstocks. There's again this technologies and the private companies playing a major role. Similarly, this is the thing from the Solan, YS Permar University. They have worked on the entire protocol using the dormant stick. And that's how even NBPGR has done a great job there. This is the glimpse of the apple rootstocks. Even Terry once propagated in citrus rootstock and apple rootstocks. This is the total, the cost of production. That's around 45 or so. They sell it at 60 plus or 75 or so. But the good thing is that they are totally disease free. You don't spread disease, and healthy plant material will be there as a rootstock on which a desired cyan variety can be grafted. This is the entire, the protocol which has been standardized from even CITH Srinagar has done a brilliant job there. They are also in the rather commercialization phase with the companies taking up this technology. This is, from the YS Permar, which I was talking about, and I see the number of companies which I am happy that one company has already, representative of him is there as a resource person here. So he'll be telling about his success story and how he has fared in his venture. This is again from the the pilot because Terry did a lot of commercialization part of it, and there the initial hand holding and later when BCCIL was born, it also helped many of the companies to come up, and this just great rather I should say impetus to this sector, because initially technological and the monetary help that is required when you want to have it in a big scale. So you like 5 million plants we have the data. So that means it has to have a industrial backup and also technological backup with monetary and a lot of financing there. I need not to talk about, because success in banana is there, because in India in the last webinar they already discussed, but from the conventional one what we have in the tissue culture thing, now it is totally we are moving toward this bioreactor system, because this system because in West when we were doing our PDF, we could see that they are into the in the bioreactor types, especially in the forestry species. Agroforestry species is working well. Gradually we think with automation we need to delve into these sector where in the academia has to play a major role, because many times people say that tissue culture is no science, but I always challenge them, if you can do it for mango, walnut, it will be a great help. But it's a challenge and we still continue to work on it. This is how it is. This is again under the patent regime, they are filing the patent for that. So little glimpse of that I wanted to show from NRC Banana, Dr. Uma Group. A pineapple, huge, from Malaysia, Thailand. They are doing it in a, and they need the planting, especially for the northeast entire, until Odisha. We require the planting material in bulk. So this is also one crop where we can have So what we can envisage that we had protocol, but walnut, apple rootstocks, kiwi fruits, other, mango, for that reason, polyomeric mangoes, we require it. So that's how the things has to go. Then standard MOAs, because a lot of companies, they have it with the state university, but a lot of variability. There is no mention of the IPR, no mention of the quality. So that need to be in place. Then cheaper alternative, as for the research sector, has to go gelling agent. Agar is becoming so costly. So cost of production can be drastically brought down if we are using shake culture, liquid ones, semi-solid, and other, material for the. Then, the standards need to be adopted by the commercial tissue culture units. This is a must. Then for the medium and large scale tissue culture units need to be established, especially I was telling about the foothills and the cities where air-conditioned weather exists. Because here is the thing, you have the production base, and in other areas, you can have the secondary, biohardening structures, which will give you ex vitro survival. Like what this is success, what we have achieved in case of banana. That's how we have it has become the #1 crop in terms of production now, surpassing mango for that reason. So these were some of my thoughts I wanted to share with you. If there is some queries, I like to, talk about them. And especially for the delegates who are the young entrepreneurs, students, kids who are there, they can ask me. I'll be more than happy to respond on it. And thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, sir, for this comprehensive presentation, which included all the aspects of tissue culture on perennial fruit crop. And I could see from the chat, audience were thoroughly enjoying your presentation. And all of them, they are demanding the copy of your PPT so that they can store this important information with them. So thank you.
I've shared you, sir. You can, you can give it to the participant.
Thank you so much. You're such an enriching experience, and you have shared all those details with the participants. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Regarding the interaction, we have kept dedicated session for addressing the query of all the participants. So we'll make it very, very interactive. Not just like we'll make a presentation and will not listen to the audience. A dedicated slot has been kept so that either they can raise their hand, we'll unmute that time, or they can put their question in chat box. As we have planned to make this program very interactive, and we mean 3 times we'll have a very brief poll, just 3 questions, and to the audience, so that we'll know their view about the tissue culture. So I would request my team to flash that poll question in front of all the audience, so that they will know what are those questions and they can submit their response on that. This is very important to submit response, because as a BCIL APARI, we are not just thinking to organize a webinar and we'll close this program. After this webinar, based on the feedback, definitely we'll try to formulate a long-term program involving all these stakeholders. So, Mr. Sarath, can you just flag that question? Request all the participants to respond on the question. Just 3 questions. We're getting 30 seconds to respond. The first one is, do you agree that tissue culture technique are useful for production of perennial plant like apple, date palm, pomegranate? 3 options: strongly agree, agree, or disagree. Now the second question, has the full potential of the plant tissue culture technique been realized in the production of perennial fruit and case crop in your country? Yes, no, not sure. Just 3 options. Select anyone. Now the third question, do you agree that there is a need for an effective training platform for promoting entrepreneurship for tissue culture of apple, date palm, and pomegranate, etc. in the Asia Pacific region? Yes and no, 2 options. You need to select one. So 10 more seconds for the audience. And those who will be having more very interactive, submit all the poll questions. APARI BCL will be sending certificate to them, to all the participants. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Please end the poll and show the result. we'll just share the result instantly. What is the feedback from the audience? So 65% audience, they strongly agree that it is a useful technique. And the 35, they agree. 0% disagreement. So it shows that this culture, it is how promising it is. Now that has the full potential is realized. On response to this query, 82% they're saying yeah, but 31 they're saying no. And that 31%, it gives the scope for improvement and the various effort to realize the full potential of this technology. Now, whether there is a need for effective training, see 97% they are saying there is a need for continuous training program and effective training program. So I think APARI and FAO, they may take note of this thing into BScience so that jointly with the help of all the leader, we can formulate some kind of strategy to provide this training program in Asia Pacific region. So please stop this now and we can move to the next session. Thank you, Mr. Sarad and Mr. Suez. So now the next speaker is Mr. Vinod Soni. Mr. Vinod Soni is a known personality in Indian plant physical sector, and in fact, he has made this Apple rootstock as a success. I know this Mr. Soni for last 15 years. For last 15 years, 1.5 decade, he started this journey from the very remote area of Himachal Pradesh, a village, and he has given the example how a person can become the job provider rather than job seeker. And he has provided millions of plants in northeast region, northern region, and the result is visible. So I request Mr. Soni to present his success story and to provide the glimpse of your tisculture operation. Mr. Soni, over to you.
Sir, good morning to all respected participants and organizers. I am Vinod Soni from Rajat Nishant Baitak from Ghumarvin district, Bilaspur, Himachal Pradesh. I am working from 2006 on plant tissue culture. This is my tissue culture laboratory, Rajat Baitak and Nishant Baitak, so called Rajat Nishant Baitak. This is our field. This is our nursery area, which is about 20 acre land, and 70 to 80 people, skilled and unskilled, work with us. And we are propagating apple rootstock and
Mr. Sorry to interrupt you. Your slides are not visible. Please reshare it.
Slide. Okay.
Mr. Vinod, you undo it and reshare again.
Undo it.
Yes, unshare.
Now is it visible, sir?
No, if you are facing difficulty, we can share it from for you, and we'll provide you host slides. Then you can operate. Mr. Suez, can you share this slide immediately? Mr. Soni, you unshare it. We'll share it from our end.
Unshare. Okay, sir.
Just few seconds. Please bear with us.
The screen is occupied already.
Mr. Soni, please remove this slide from your side because there is some problem, technical problem. We'll share it from BCI host site. Yes. Yes, please share it. In fact, BCIL has witnessed his entire journey from the layout till the full commercialization. So, Mr. Soni, now slides are visible. Over to you. Yes, Mr. Soni, unmute yourself. You are muted now. Yes.
Sir, am I visible at this time,
Yes,
sir?
yes, audible. Please continue.
Okay, okay. Sorry for all of this, sir. I am Vinod Soni from Rajat Nishant Biotech from Ghumarwin district, Bilaspur, Himachal Pradesh. I am working from 2006 on plant tissue culture. We are propagating apple rootstock, majorly apple rootstock, and 70 to 80 people work in this laboratory, technical and non-technical staff. And we are propagating variety of rootstock like as MM series, M9, M7, MM111, MM106, and M793. The source of rootstock is Dr. Y.S. Parmar University and IHBT Palampur. And please. Advantage of rootstock tissue culture propagation have several advantages. Can provide pathogen-free plants, can provide plants with better root system and uniformity compared to plant propagated from conventional method. Can significantly improve the root availability for most rootstock. Can be used to rapidly propagate new selection or cultivar, and new breeding programs for use, experimental trial for the large and mass multiplication. Advantage of rootstock: tissue culture rootstock give fruit after 2 years, and conventional rootstock give fruit after 12 years. The production of tissue culture rootstock is 40 metric ton per hectare, and conventional plants production 8 metric ton per hectare. It is about 5 times more than conventional plants. The rootstock give about 5 times more crop in rootstock plants. Cutting, pruning, and spray and harvesting are easy. Rootstock are easy in rootstock high density plantation due to compact size of plant. Plant size are very compact. It's about 10 to 12 feet. Then it's spray, pruning, cutting, and harvesting are very easy. Next. Total production of Rajat Nishant Biotech from last 10 years. We propagate about 60 lakh plants till today. About 5 lakh plants propagate every year. We have supplied the material in different hilly states of India, like Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Northeast, in both private and public sector. Scope of export and import. There is so many scope of export the planting material from India. There are vast scope exporting of virus-free planting material to abroad because the production of tissue culture planting material and labor, skilled and unskilled labor cost is low in India rather than the developed country. We have imported the virus-free culture of latest series of Apple M9T337, M9Nic29, Geneva series G11, Walnut, Walnut, and Almond, Henson 18, Palm rootstock, and peach rootstock recently from USA. And we already import the blueberry culture of Duke and Regency variety from Italy, and by which we can produce these latest rootstock in our India by tissue culture to compete the international market and give quality fruit planting material to the all over the world. There is a very big scope to export the planting material from India. And this is our mother plant stock. This is growth room, and this is in vitro. Our in vitro culture is multiplication time is about 6 to 7 times multiplication rate. And next. This is our primary hardening section, and this one is secondary hardening section. This is nursery field. Nursery field, I already talked that it's about 20-acre land. And the hardening and primary hardening and secondary hardening and nursery field, it's very good climate in Himachal Pradesh. At the altitude of 3,000 feet or 2,000 feet, there is a very good climate for apple, pear, walnut, almond, and apricot. For this, the hardening climate is very good. Next. The farmer of J&K, Jammu and Kashmir farmer is here with us in our nursery. The farmer of Himachal Pradesh and the farmer of Afghanistan. I visit Afghanistan before 5 or 6 years, and these are the farmer of Afghanistan. Next, this is the high density orchid. The plant are in fruiting at this time, and the high density plantation, there is plant to plant distance is only 1 meter, and row to row distance is 2 meter or 2.5 meter. And this plant to plant distance is small, and there is high density plantation in 1 acre. In 1 acre, we planting about 800 plant. Next, we planting about 800 plant. This one, we planting about 800 plant per acre, and per plant production is about 30 kg. It's minimum 30 kg, and 800 plant production about 24,000 kg. And apple quality fruit costs 100 rupees per kg. It's minimum rate 100 rupees. Otherwise, I sell my own apple in last year 190 rupees per kg. Total output from 1 acre is to about 24 lakh. It's minimum cost. Running cost and expenses, it's only 25%. We take it 50%. It's 12 lakh. Then the farmer saving amount for farmer, it's 12 lakh. The traditional apple give only 5 to 6 metric ton, and this high density plantation give about 40 metric ton. It increase the income of farmer about 7 to 8 times. Next. For warm area, we also propagate some plants like as in apple variety. Which one is Anna, Dorset Golden, Herman 910 for plains, and for warm area which are propagate. We are propagating about 10,000 to 20,000 plants. And certification of DBT, Department of Biotechnology. We are certified from Department of Biotechnology from 2013. Virus induction of each and every batch done regularly with norms of DBT, NCSTCP. We produce virus-free and quality planting material. The certificate is a supporting document which help us in the sale of quality planting material in private and public sector. Next, this is the book Tissue Culture Raised Apple Rootstock in India, a Success Story. Dr. Sibkant Shukla and Dr. Susmita Shukla write this book, and Apari published this book. I am so much thankful to Dr. Sibkant Shukla, Dr. Susmita Shukla, and Apari, which introduced this book for the farmer, for the people. And I requested to all the participants, please study this book, please read this book. You got this book on Google on Apari site. And this is the award we got from IARI, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, in this year, 2022. Next. This is the awards. We got so many awards from state and central government. And I am so much thankful to you, the organizer and the participant which joined this meeting. I am so much thankful to Apari, Dr. Sibkant Shukla, BCIL, and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Soni, for this wonderful presentation. And for it is kind of motivation for the startup and for the young entrepreneur, those who are willing to set up their own laboratory. I met him in 2007 when he was operating a small one-room lab and a few poly houses. Now he has a very good commercial lab producing millions of plants. So that really tells that if someone can decide, okay, I need to become an entrepreneur, physical entrepreneur, I can do it. So this is really motivation for our participants. Thank you, Mr. Soni. So now I request my colleague to show that small video shared by Mr. Vinod Soni, because all students, scholars, those who are joined, they are very interested to see such kind of video and they appreciate that. Mr. Suez, please show that the brief 2-minute video.
रजत बायोटेक यूजन ऐसी वुचन तम कोर हिमाचल उसने तो कहाँ कहाँ पहुँचा दिया है कहाँ से
Thank you for this video, and we could feel that vibrant ecosystem what Apple Disculture has created in remote area. Thank you so much once again. So now with this presentation, we'll move to the next presentation. That is very important to listen about the disculture of date palm. And date palm, as you know, is a very low volume, high value crop. And this has now become a success. So for this, we have very important speaker, Dr. Aziz Dorahi. He is a PhD in palmology, and he has more than 25 years of experience in date palm pisciculture. And he works in Tropical Fruit Research Center. He has handled many projects, and today he's going to present his pioneer work on the date palm pisciculture. So, Dr. Aziz, over to you. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Ship, for your introduction. Hello, everybody. I try to share. Is it visible?
Yes. Please make it in slideshow mode.
Okay. Let's see. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay. As Mr. Shib said, I am Aziz Torahi, a scientific board member of Horticultural Sciences Research Institute of Iran and Date Palm and Tropical Fruit Research Center. My presentation is about date palm tissue culture success story in Iran. Based on FAO, the top 10 date producers countries in the world of fresh dates, shown here in this graph, and you can see Iran with production of 1,280,000 tons per year is in the third place after Egypt and Saudi Arabia. The main region of date production in Iran are located in the northern part of the country, and 6 provinces are main date producing areas that are mentioned here. As you know, Iran has got one of the richest dates germplasm with more than 400 date cultivars. 30 out of them are commercially produced in an area more than 250,000 hectares. And more than 10% of our production are exported. Because of the importance of date palm in our regions, the government decided to establish the Date Palm Tropical Fruit Research Center about 25 years ago. As you know, date palm plantations in the world and even Iran have subjected to many challenges. For instance, long destructive work caused big damage to the plantations. Aging and decay of palms are other challenges. And due to traditional cultivation, there is a lot of undesirable date cultivars in the plantations. Fast vertical growth of date palms is another challenge, especially for climbing and management of the crown. Many pest and diseases, attack date palm and cause huge damage to them. And recently, new harmful phenomena, emerged in the date palm has caused some bad effect to them. And the periodic lethal frost in some areas also caused damage to some plantations. In addition to all that challenges that I told you, the climate changes, especially global temperature rising, caused some bad effects like severe decrease in rainfall, increasing the severity and intensity of droughts, water shortage and scarcity, and this caused the gradual salinization of water and soil. And the climate changes altogether, caused the shifting of the border from the southern part of the country to the central and the northern part, and some new promises added to the growing regions in Iran. Under the harsh climate conditions that caused by climate change, as you know, sensitive plants are not durable and show mostly poor adaptation to these conditions. And this is where the hardy tolerant trees come into play. And as you know, the date palm is one of the hardiest fruit trees to the harsh conditions. And because of these traits, it has attracted the attentions of many countries during recent years, and a kind of date palm cultivation fever has been intensified in the world recently. And this fever caused a sudden increase in demand for date palm seedlings. Sorry, that has been forecasted to be more than 15 million seedlings. And this huge number of seedlings were needed for breeding, date grove modernization and reconstruction, and of course changing the undesirable date cultivars in the plantations. Due to the limited number of date offshoots, it was not possible to provide the number through suckers. So plant tissue culture techniques as a commercial method was considered by the government and even by the private sector in Iran. And the date palm tissue has been started from 1990, and many companies like Rana, Rastegar, Barian Saratkaran, Bamdad, and other companies are active in this field right now, and their capacity is more than 1 million plants per year, and their production estimated to be more than 6 million till now, that can recover 40,000 hectares till now. So after the production of this huge number of date palm seedlings, A large and many date palm plantation has been established using of these tissue culture plants in the world and even in Iran. And some kind of this mature trees of this tissue culture plants and their fruits and bunch and yeah, it's me. Please notice the bunch above my head that is closely shown on the top left of the slide. A huge bunch and yield, as you can see in Medjool and in Piaron. And the Barhead crown is stunning and with the huge of production and beauty of its bunches. And Piaron is one of the most important of Iran, as you can see here. Despite the fast rate of propagation and the good footing of some these tissue culture seedlings, unfortunately, some abnormalities have been emerged, like dwarfism, fruit set failure, delayed flowering, and fruiting, and so on and so forth, became worrying for the date growers. You can see some photos of these disorders here, these abnormalities, and the huge volume of fruits that has been lost, unfortunately. So the DPKFRIC decided to have extensive study to study these abnormalities, and the conclusion is as the following. In regards to the kind of abnormalities, we saw that almost all vegetative abnormalities recovered in 5 years, but unfortunately some reproductive abnormalities in a small number of cultivars remained for many years. About the cultivar sensitivity, we saw that some cultivar show sensitivity to tissue culture, like Barhe and Ashrise are very sensitive to tissue culture, but Zahidi showed no abnormalities till now. Different protocols were effective on the type and severity of vegetative and reproductive abnormalities in this study. And here you can see the fruit set failure in Barhe and Ashrasi in these tissue culture seedlings. The conditions prevailing in the labs during their production process with even the specific protocol also affect the severity of the abnormalities. But we saw the aging has a positive effect on this tissue culture plants, and with the increasing and aging of the seedlings, vegetative abnormalities are often recovered and the percentage of fruit formation increases. Due to the differences in climate factors such as temperature, humidity, light, and etc. in different regions, there is a possibility of affecting the percentage of fruit growing seedlings of tissue culture. And we saw that even the method and time of horticultural operations such as pollination, irrigation, fertilization, and etc. may affect the fruit set of date tissue culture trees. So to combat these problems and to lowering these huge abnormalities that I mentioned, we have some suggestions for this. So optimization of existing protocol for mass propagation of different date cultivars, or purchasing a reliable protocol for mass production from the reliable companies in the world, or importing regional offshoots or healthy tissue culture seedlings. And thank you for your kind attention, and I will stay available for any question. And I'm really thankful for the opportunity that has been given to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aziz, for this wonderful, comprehensive presentation. And in fact, many Indian companies, they are keen for the date palm culture. And after this webinar notification, they kept on inquiring whether we can get some know-how, technology, all the details. So we hope that with your linkages and with your expertise, we shall be able to those queries. Thank you so much once again. So with this now, we'll have another round of poll. And I request my colleague to flash that poll questions in front of audience. Again, just 3 questions. You take just few seconds to answer. Please participate because this is also a kind of feedback from your side. So please project that. Yeah, can you see this on the screen? So there's just 3 questions. Do perennial fruit and cash crops significantly contribute to the food and the nutritional security and income generation for farmers and consumer in your country? Yes or no? Second question, are QMS, quality management practices, necessary for production of virus-free quality tissue culture plant of perennial fruit and cash crop? Yes, no, or not sure? 3 options. Now the third question, do rootstock produced through tissue culture offers better performance as compared to traditional rootstock? Yes, no, I'm not sure. Please select anyone. You will have another 10 to 15 seconds to receive your feedback. Please be prompt and submit a response. Last 5 seconds. Then we'll close this poll and we'll show the result. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mr. Sarath, please show the result. Okay. So result has been presented in front of audience and panelists. That this is yes, it contributes to the food and nutritional security. Nutritional security is very important. So this crop are very, very important. And 96% are saying that quality management practices are necessary to realize its potential. Quality management includes good cultural practices, SOP, virus indexing, testing of genetic heredity. And for the third question, audience responded that tissue culture has better result than the traditional plant. 76% they're saying yes, it is better. So this technology for this crop, it has enormous potential. Thank you so much. We can now close this session and we can move for the next final round. That is a panel discussion. So panel discussion, it becomes very, very important to know the views of audience, to know the view of experts as per their background. So today we have 4 panelists, the eminent experts. We have tried to have the panelists from different domain. Like we have Dr. Vidya Gupta. She's a renowned plant biotechnologist and she's closely working with the tissue culture sector in India and even internationally. She doesn't need any introduction because her publication, books itself, it says about her contribution in the area of plant biotechnology. So welcome Vidya ma'am in this panel discussion. Then we have Mr. Tarun Arora. You can see is a young, dynamic entrepreneur and who is heading one organization which is called IG International Limited, which is engaged in the supply chain of all kind of exotic, temperate fruit crop, apple, walnut, and many like blueberry. So welcome, Mr. Arora, in this important panel discussion. And even now he is diversifying in the area of tissue culture also. And recently he has acquired a lab in Pune, Maharashtra, and he is expanding his business. So Mr. Arora is there. Now, Professor Inwa Usman, he is from Nigeria and he is closely working in the area of sugarcane tissue culture. And he has successfully scaled up to reduce the cost of operation. He was heading various biofactory, which he called sugarcane biofactory, and he was earlier working as a general manager. So welcome, Mr. Inova, in this program. Then we have fourth panelist, Dr. Ali Raza from Iran. He is PhD in horticulture science and working as professor in agriculture research education organization of Iran. So he has done various research and closely working for the pomegranate tissue culture. So you can see this is a diverse panel with different background, but all highly relevant for the commercial plant tissue culture. So with this background, I once again welcome you all the panelists. And now first query is for Dr. Vidya Gupta ma'am, that what are the advantages of raising tissue culture plant in terms of the perennial horticulture crop? It means why this quality control is highly important when we go for the tissue culture of perennial fruit crop. Or to ma'am, Dr. Vidya ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Shukla, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to be in this webinar. I think, in my opinion, there are several factors which are by which we can answer your question. I think there are two commercial factors which I would emphasize and two scientific aspects that I would like to emphasize. The commercial first, and the answer lies in your question itself, that for the perennial crops, the life cycle of the crop is huge. Once it occupies the field space, the trees and the plants stay in the field for a number of years, sometimes even 100 years. So before the particular plantation is done, it is very essential to have quality planting material that will give better quantity and the better quality of the produce. So that is the first reason. Then the second one is, most of the times these crops, their produce is very seasonal. So the farmers get the income only in a specific period of the year, and rest of the year he has to maintain the orchards or the gardens for such perennial crops. For both of these reasons, the good quality planting material becomes the most important criteria. And by tissue culture, the selection of the mother plant is usually done from the elite genotypes, where the quantity, quality is already decided. So that gives the farmers additional benefit in the initial stage itself. So these are the commercial aspects. The scientific aspect is, if we do the plantation based on the conventional methods, then in case of tree species, because they are cross-pollinated, the diversity is too much. We get heterogeneous plants which affect the fruit quality also, fruit quality and quantity. There is diversity in the fruit quality. So to avoid that, if we have tissue culture raised plants, then we have assurance of the produce and the quality of the produce. Other reason is, in many of these crops, perennial crops, they are dioecious in nature. The sexes are different, male and female. And if the farmers, they grow both male and female plants, which are very difficult to identify in the plantation stage. It is where the crop area is unnecessarily spent in the male plants which are used only for the pollination. So by tissue culture, from the female plants, if the plants are produced, most of the times the plants produced are female in nature. There is sex reversal, no doubt. In certain cases, some percentage of sex reversal is seen, but that percentage is very, very low. So these two are the scientific reasons why tissue culture technology needs to be employed for perennial crops. In my opinion, it is more important than the annual crops.
Right.
Thank you.
So thank you. You have explained this highly technical concept in very simple language. Thank you. With this, I would come to Dr. Tarun, Mr. Tarun Arora from IG International, because he is the person who covers the entire value chain regarding the quality of fruit, all those things. So, Mr. Tarun, question for you is how the good tissue culture practice is related to better fruit quality and consumer acceptance. What is your perception on that? And also, you please provide some global trend, how this good quality practices in tissue culture is connected to the good fruit quality and consumer perception. Mr. Tarun.
Thank you, Doctor. So welcome, first of all, to the complete audience who've come together today. From the question perspective, the tissue culture plants that I have seen, the global trend now, it's picking up quite fast, and it has a lot of value that it gives. The amount of value that it gives is, one, the genetic authenticity. So that it brings along. So the genetics are authentic, and there is complete traceability of the plant that happens. So the planting material that you get is virus free. There is quality assurance on the plant, so everything is very consistent, which comes out of the tissue culture lab. And there are also all the health protocols that are followed. I mean, when it comes to into tissue culture, as compared to the conventional way of growing tree fruits mostly, and when you look at, these are very complex biosciences involved. So with stool bed method, there's a usual practice of viruses coming into the stool bed. So it is very important for a farmer or a grower to know that this is the way to go, and this is where the global trend has already changed. So most of the tree fruits now, when you look at large plant companies, they've already gone to tissue culture, and they're already researching the crops to ensure that they've got better rootstocks. The diversification that we are able to get in terms of the selection of the rootstocks, because today's soil is a complex medium of growing, and with the health of the soil eroding, you need to have different varieties of rootstocks, and these are large quantities of rootstocks that you need. So it is important that you're able to have that diversity in the rootstock diversification as well. So that tissue culture is able to give you in terms of flexibility. Then coming on to the farmers in India versus the farmers globally. Here, Indian market is very fragmented. The farmers are very small, and they're currently not as educated because of the resources they do not have. The FPOs are missing at the moment here. So as compared to the international farmer, where a farmer is 400 acres, 500 acres, 1,000 acres, 10,000 acres, 50,000 acres, 100,000 acres, there is more scale, there is more resources. So they have more knowledge towards immediately inclining towards tissue culture plants as compared to the Indian farmers. So it is important when you have forums like this, and when all the farmers come together and understand that the benefit that the tissue culture plant brings is very, very high. And that's where I see Indian market going with smart farmers here, learning from platforms like this.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tarun. These insights are very important for industry, even for the tissue culture and for the processing point of view, because it says that there is increasing trend and awareness for the tissue culture, rootstock, and other plants. So with this, I would now come to Dr. Ali Raza from Iran, and I'd like to know something about the pomegranate tissue culture in Iran. So can you give us some brief about the progress of tissue culture technology in terms of the pomegranate in your country, Iran?
Thank you. First, I would like to thank the chairman of the meeting and other officials for giving me this time. Iran is one of the most important pomegranate producing country in the world. The area under cultivation of pomegranate in Iran is about 90,000 hectares. Iran has a high quality pomegranate, many of which are organic. Iran has a valuable genetic resources of pomegranate. So far, 760 pomegranate genotype have been identified in Iran. There is a great variety of pomegranate genotype in Iranian pomegranate collection. These genetic resources help us to achieve new high-yielding cultivars or cultivars that are more tolerant to stress. Horticultural Science Research Institute of Iran was established to conduct researches on horticultural crop. Currently, research on different aspects of pomegranate growth are carried out in this institute. One of the most important goals of the Ministry of Agriculture of Iran is to produce certified seedling or plant for all horticultural crops, including pomegranates. Because certified seedling can improve production and quality of fruit in pomegranate orchard. An important feature of certified plant is to virus-free, and this can be achieved through meristem culture. Therefore, it's necessary to have a complete plant propagation protocol through meristem culture. We are trying to use this method for all other important horticultural crops in Horticultural Science Research Institute in Iran. Healthy plants that are free of virus and pathogen are cultivated in stock plant garden, and tissue culture methods are used to propagate this plant in a larger scale. Another goal of pomegranate tissue culture is to achieve in vitro propagation protocol for different pomegranate cultivars, so that we can propagate our cultivars in a short time on larger scale. This has been done for some pomegranate cultivars such as Malas, Rabab, Shisha Kab, and also Wonderful. Increasing the tolerance of pomegranate cultivars to environmental stresses such as drought and salinity is another goal of tissue culture of pomegranate in Iran. This is done by selecting plant cells that have grown under stressful condition, which is successfully can increase the tolerance of pomegranate cultivars to stress. This plant tissue can be used for plant propagation using tissue culture method. Many research have been done in relation to pomegranate tissue culture in Iran. In these studies, X-plant were successfully established in culture medium, and browning of X-plant was well controlled. The X-plants also had a good growth and rooting in a culture medium, and they adapted to in vivo condition very well. We also try to increase the tolerance of pomegranate cultivar to stress through tissue culture method. Moreover, we are trying to increase the insect tolerance with irradiation of X-plant before tissue culture. This research led to achievement of in vitro propagation protocol of pomegranate cultivars. At present, in vitro propagation of different pomegranate cultivars are being done in tissue culture labs in Iran.
Thank you, Dr. Ali Raza. Can you also inform something about the commercialization aspect, how it has been commercialized in your country? As a second comment, quick comment.
Please repeat.
Yeah. Dr. Raja, I would like to know about the commercial aspect, how it has been commercialized in your country, in the commercial aspect. Just quick comment.
Yes, as I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of research have been done on pomegranate tissue culture in Iran. And therefore, we can propagate pomegranate tissue culture, and currently some tissue culture labs produce pomegranate seedlings and sell them into garden. So we are able to propagate large number of pomegranate cultivars by tissue culture method in Iran. And if there is a demand for other countries to buy pomegranate seedling, it's possible to conclude a contract and sell it.
Okay, very nice. So thank you, Dr. Raja. Now I come to the fourth panelist, Professor Enva Osman from Nigeria. and is working as a professor, and also he has exposure of commercial culture of sugarcane. So, Dr. Innova, can you just inform what are the best practices for the micropropagation of sugarcane that has been adopted in the African context? Professor Innova, over to you.
Good morning to you all. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Good morning to you all. I'm staying here. I'm actually, it's very fascinating to learn how you people have made such an advancement in the development of tissue culture technology. Here with us in Africa, I can say we are just beginning to make a route into the deployment of R&D in tissue culture and other biotechnology applications. Apart from few countries, I wouldn't say there is much commercialization that is going on. With regards to sugarcane best practices, I will start by saying that we see sugarcane as an important cash crop, not only for the sugar that we obtain, but also from other byproducts. In fact, it is now on record that sugarcane is competing favorably with petroleum in biofuels and energy cogeneration. In fact, the value-added products that can be derived from petroleum are far less than the value-added products that can be obtained from sugarcane. So on record, you can only get 17 value-added products from petroleum, but with sugarcane, you can get 20 plus value-added products. It's also a greening crop and holds a lot of potential in combating this climate change through carbon sequestration. What I'm going to say is more revolves on the progress made in my lab.
Thank you, Professor Innova. I will again come back to you for your further remark.
Yes.
I will again come back to you. So one again important aspect in the area of quality management, I would come back to Dr. Vidya Gupta ma'am regarding the quality management aspect, and that is highly relevant when we talk about quality management in fruit crop. How it is being determined and how we can assure that to consumer that whatever we have produced, it is a good quality. It is the matching with the mother plant. So, ma'am, can you tell us which kind of molecular markers are available for testing of clonal uniformity or genetic fidelity of tissue culture plants?
Yeah, okay, Dr. Shukla. Usually, for genetic fidelity, if the DNA markers or molecular markers, which can identify various regions in the genome, if such markers are used, within a short period, larger part of the genome can be analyzed. So usually multiple loci DNA markers, they are used for fingerprinting or for the fidelity analysis as such. That can be used in comparison with the original mother plant with the progeny or batch to batch fidelity, whichever is preferred in that particular crop. And therefore, other important parameters are like the window given for the testing is very short. So the protocols of these markers should be very crisp, quick, and easy for the laboratory to perform. And large number of samples should be completed within short span of time. So based on these parameters, there are two kinds of markers which are very popularly used. One is based on the simple sequence repeats, which are called as intersimple sequence repeat markers. And the other one is transposons, transposable elements. Those are like IRAP markers. These are very easily performed in the laboratory. Of course, for every crop, which markers which would give variation or identify variation would vary. And that is the exercise or the research part that is to be done beforehand for each variety. And then these markers are used based on this background information for understanding the fidelity in the batch to batch or mother to batch. NRCPB in India, that ICR Institute, has developed many such markers like IRAP and ISSR markers for date palm, sugar cane, banana, potato. Then my lab at NCL, we have developed such markers for date palm, sugar cane, pomegranate, banana, ginger, eucalyptus, turmeric, tea, bamboo, pongamia, and so on. So whatever are the requirements, we need to have a first research component to establish the markers, DNA markers, and then use it in commercial practice.
Thank you, ma'am. I think this will give insight to the researcher, those who are working in the area of plant biotechnology for determining clonal uniformity. Thank you for this information. With this, again, I will come to Mr. Tarun regarding the commercial aspect. This is very important. Research to commercialization, then connecting to consumer. So, Mr. Tarun, being a leading fresh fruit exporter and a global player in this area, how do you perceive that growth of pisciculture root stock of various fruit crops, including apple? Your quick comment on that.
Yeah, so I think Apple India is currently a 2.5 million ton market in terms of its growth and production, where it will probably reach by the end of this year or by early next year. Now, when you look at the overall growth and the total number of hectares that we have, I feel there is an enhancement required on the plant genetics side. Now, plant genetics is the new varieties that we are getting, but it also needs to give the correct rootstock for those new varieties to give the right quality of fruit and the right yields of fruit, so that the farmer has better quality of plants that are available. So that's very, very, very important. And for us to lead this evolution of the whole horticulture side, it's very, very critical that the plant propagation is done in the correct way. I mean, that is very critical. So that is where I think the role of bodies like this, ours or BCIL, for example, I mean, and to sort of encourage the new age entrepreneurs to come with more labs, which are more specific to the research of rootstock propagation for all cultivars. Because today, even we don't have, the cultures available for the best rooting, for the best rootstocks for all the fruit crops. So it's important that we create the cultures in the mother bank here, and so that we have all the ammunition for us available for us to lead the evolution into this industry. So that's my thought on this particular the question.
Yeah, very, very nice. So the final comment from Professor Innova regarding the scaling up, because you have done the scaling up of sugarcane tissue culture in Nigeria. Because as you told that tissue culture is not much popular there, and it is in the nascent stage, but still you did some scaling up. So can you tell that when you do scale up, how this impact the cost of plant? Just briefly, please you share that your experience.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the scale up came through two focal points. One is having an efficient protocol for micro propagation, and then the other is to be able to scale up the production. And we achieve this by using temporary immersion bioreactor systems. And with it, we are able to reduce the time spent in the lab, and we can be able to get a good multiplication within a period of 1 month. Then after that, the next stage is the hardening. We undergo primary and secondary hardening. And during the secondary hardening, which is usually done out in the field or in the screen houses, we can also maintain another multiplication factor. And this in essence reduces the cost. But that notwithstanding, the cost is still high, considering that sugarcane uses a lot of planting material, about 11,000 seedlings per hectare. So when you compute the cost, you find that it's beyond the reach of the farmer. So at the moment, what we did is to engage with the sugar estates that they have been our first clients, and then they are using this as nucleus materials to grow cane that they can use to sustain their out-grower scheme. And then we are engaging also other stakeholders so that when they come and visit our lab and see the performance in the field, they appreciate what the tissue culture sugarcane could do on their fields. So at the end of the day, I think what matters is our ability to use more of local materials that can bring down the cost of tissue culture, and also our ability to circumvent on some of the techniques so that we can get even supplies locally. And so far, the farmers with this system, they can get a clean seed material to start off their plantation and get the benefits of the tissue cultured sugarcane.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you. We have done wonderful work to reduce the cost, because managing quality, giving high quality plant with the proper balance with the cost is very important for the consumer acceptability. So thank you. So before we move to the next session, I would request my panelists, if anyone like to say something, is open for the panelists. Dr. Vidya ma'am, Mr. Tarun, Professor Ali Raja, Professor Inua. So final comment, anything you want to convey to the audience? Please.
I think I can only say that tissue culture is extremely important for the perennial crops, as I mentioned in my answer to your first question. And from the farmer's point of view, commercial point of view, that is very, very important. So we have to, the problem is we don't have many protocols established for tree crops because of the inherent problems like recalcitration and things like that. So we have to establish the protocols for such perennial crops and go ahead with the tissue culture. Thank you.
So thank you for all the panelists for this wonderful discussion. In fact, it is so interesting that it may go on continuously for hours. So because paucity of time, we need to close it, and we'll again try to catch you up in due course of time. Thank you so much, Mr. Tarun, Dr. Vidya Gupta ma'am, Dr. Ali Raja, and the Professor Inua. Thank you, all of you. Big thanks.
Thank you. Welcome.
So with this, now we are moving toward the next poll, third poll and a final poll. That is just regarding the feedback of this webinar. I request all of the audience to join this poll. I request my team member to just flash that on the screen. Just 3 questions. How do you rate this webinar in terms of enhancing your knowledge in tissue culture of perennial and cash crop? Your 4 options: excellent, very good, good, fair. Next question: would you like to integrate knowledge gained during this webinar in your research and extension program? The application of the knowledge what you have gained through this webinar. Then the third one: does this webinar encourage you to promote tissue culture and establish tissue culture facilities in your country? So 10 seconds to respond. It's just yes or no. You need to select one. So it will not take much time. Request everyone to participate. This is the final and the last poll. And those who will attempt all the poll will send certificate, all the link to them, knowing that they attended actively to this webinar. So last 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Please share the result with the audience. Okay. Thank you so much. 76% they have told is excellent program. It's a compliment for us also. It motivates us to organize a good program. Now, 94% they are saying they will integrate this knowledge in their research program, extension program. It's very encouraging feedback. And the third response to the third question regarding the promoting tissue culture in your country, 94% they are saying, okay, they will promote this technology for the perennial crop and they will encourage to establish their laboratory in their country. So thank you so much for participating in the poll. Thank you all the audience from across 42 countries. All audience, those who joined from the beginning, still all the audience are continuing. It shows that they are finding it very interesting, though we are extended the timeline, whatever you mentioned in this thing. So now this important step, now we are reaching to this webinar. There is a question answer session. Already we received lots of queries from the participants, active participants, and there are many queries. So I would request all the speakers and the panelists be available with us because they have asked certain questions to the specific expert. Now, two options to raise the query. Either you raise your hand, will allow you to speak, or you can place it in question answer. So I have got few lists.
Dr. Shukla.
Yes, Dr. Tyagi.
We have so many questions posted in the question answer. So to save the time, if you agree, then the question can be put up before the concerned expert for their response. And then other than those questions, if time will permit, we can have the raise hands and put the question. Is it okay?
Yeah, definitely. That will save the time.
So if you agree, I will pick up the question which are most relevant first.
Yeah, please.
In the question answer list, and I would request to the experts to respond.
Please go ahead.
Some of the questions are not very much related, then I will give the secondary priority for those questions. One question is asked about the date palm. The question is from Muhammad Kamrul Hassan. We found root from Kalai, but not shoot in case of date palm. What are the reasons behind? If the expert who has spoken on the date palm would like to respond?
Sorry, would you
Dr. Aziz, please.
Would you please repeat the question or write it down there?
Yeah, question is that we found root from Kalai, but not shoot in case of date palm. What could be the reasons behind?
I'm afraid that I didn't realize the question.
Actually, if you have not understood, I have understood the question. I would like to say that you have to buy a viable protocol, because normally callus, when it starts rooting, then you have to manipulate the medium, whether the kynurenine or cytokinins and the other growth substances you'll have to manipulate. So unless you have the standardized protocol or you buy a standardized protocol, this problem is very commonplace in tissue culture. The other question is that why oil palm is not included in this webinar. This is the question from anonymous attendee. I just want to say there are so many other crops also which are economically important for the region, be it in Asia or the Africa, but in the limited time, we can only touch upon few crops, and we found that the crops which we have discussed are the more important. So nevertheless, it doesn't undermine the importance of the oil palm. So thank you for your concern, but maybe sometime next we will pick up the oil palm also.
Yeah, we can develop some program for oil palm also, because it is highly potential.
Yes. Another question is for Dr. S.K. Singh from Prakash DP, that please throw some light on recalcitrance in rooting of perennial food crops. Dr. S.K. Singh, would you like to respond briefly?
Surely, sir, surely. I mean, this is a very pertinent question. We had been working on this mango and this pomegranate, then citrus. Citrus, we don't face this problem. But mango, of course, there is a problem because the rooting becomes a concern for us. What I will suggest is that they should try a mix of auxins here. It can be NA or IBA, because we have seen that when we use NA, it gives a lot of root initials, and IBA supplemented with that, then they become little long. If you are only using IBA, it gives solitary or 1 or 2 roots, and it is just very small. So you have got to have a mix of 2 auxins to have this problem sorted out. And little bit, you need to give a stress to your culture, because rooting is the event which is happening, only little stress is there, then roots are better formed. So always I will suggest try to have dual auxins, maybe 0.5 mg or 1 mg that you need to standardize each. Then it is always better. And in fruit crops, we have seen it works so well. It works so well that it will be the root quality will be so that it can give very good hardening. So you can try this.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Another question is from Sudhakar Balakrishnan. Though this webinar is not on banana, because we have already concluded one webinar on banana last month. But if some expert would like to respond, the question is that why there is sudden outbreak of viral disease in banana in many states of India? Can anyone give a brief response to it?
Can I answer, sir?
Yeah, please.
Sir, this is happening because now Government of India has taken a very stern step that no shifting of planting material from South India, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, the main, to the northeast. Now they have been totally restricted, because what is happening, they are using the traditional planting material, that is the suckers, and this is which has caused the concern even in the northeast, which is the secondary center for us. What has happened, they have transported this fusarium wilt and lot of viruses. It has gone with that planting material, because it happened because when an NHM was launched, that time they thought that they can take material from South India and go for large scale planting, which was totally a wrong practice. When we could see this problem, by the time, it was already 6-7 years, and loss of, erosion, many of the traditional areas, the local germplasm, they getting sick. So now it is totally restricted. We are to totally go for the planting of tissue culture plant material. There is a total restriction of movement of plant material from one state to other state across the boundary. You cannot take it. If you are taking it, it's a crime. And totally, you might have seen even in the international exchange of germplasm, it is only TC plants which you can exchange, and the commercial labs which want to bring the cultures, it is only the in vitro, proliferated cultures which they are allowed to, because these are certified for any particular virus, viroids, even a lot of, we have seen even the nematodes, they go through this, and tropical race 4 is coming up. It is already at your doorstep, sir. This practice has to be stopped. So that's why I always suggest that when you are trying to have new plantations, go for tissue culture plant material. They are all tested, because now with the testing facilities available even in IRI also, we have got the diagnostic, we can test it. It is proven one. So you can even clone, tell the company to clone your local material. Even in Kerala, it is going for red banana in a big way, because there is a tourist attraction for those kind of banana. So my suggestion would be that restrict the movement. It should be, the legislation has to be such that the horticulture department, the quarantine department don't allow movement of this traditional planting material in banana. Your problem is almost 90% solved.
I will just quickly like to supplement here. The question is very important. When you are buying banana from the recognized laboratory of Government of India, and when there is a SOPs followed regarding virus indexing, this incidence will not happen. when they are buying from unauthorized source, and when the stock material is not tested for known viruses, and the best certification is not done, then there is such incidents. Because those incidents has come down significantly after implementing the certification program by Department of Biotechnology through BCIL last 15 years. So this just wanted to make a quick comment on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh, and thank you, Dr. Shukla, for supplementation of this about the banana. Another question again for date palm, and I want to draw the kind attention of Dr. Aziz from Iran, that how the date palm genetic variation is monitored. Any technique to overcome it? It's a question from Sudhakar again.
As you know, the date palm is a dioecious plant that different inflorescences that produce on different date palm. So it's very important that you know this. Is it clear, my voice? Is
Yes.
my voice clear?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. So it's very important that you know the source of your suckers or your offshoots, and the monitoring is done by use some genetic markers or molecular markers like SSR or SSSR or even FLP, AFLP. So it's but it's really difficult. In date palm, it's really difficult to do. But we do this and in some labs, and we use this SSR for 10 of our cultivars, and we can identify our cultivars by using our SSR.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
I can add to it.
Yeah, please.
Even in India, the molecular markers, the DNA markers have been identified, which are to be used specifically for date palm to look at the genetic fidelity or the diversity that is present in the germplasm. So the NCSTCP ATLs, they have this set of markers identified which to be used for date palm. So if the plants are tested at these centers, then the concerned person will know whether there is a fidelity present or not.
Thank you, Dr. Vida.
Thank you, madam. One more question on date palm. The question is raised by Josephine Reina. I don't know from which country. The why date palm is not commercially cultivated by the farmers. I don't know whether she has asked in context to Asia in general, or Africa, or in India, or any particular country. I cannot make it out from which country she is. So I think date palm, commercial cultivation of date palm, already the expert from Iran has mentioned, but this question is regarding India. In India also a lot of commercial cultivation is being done. Dr. Shukla, would you like to supplement something?
I would like to inform briefly because of paucity of time. There are 7 companies producing date palm, tisculture, propagule. This is one thing, but our question is regarding the commercial cultivation. Entire the western part of India, which is the Kutch, Mundra, and western Rajasthan, this is a big plantation of date palm. And now they are using the various variety of the Middle East and local variety, and imported variety they're using Barhi, all those variety. Madam Dr. Vitara knows there is big plantation, and it big very professionally. Even the after plantation, the processing, exporting, it is done in highly mechanical way, mechanized way. So it is happening now in India also in a big way.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Shukla. Dr. Aziz, you want to say something about it? You have to unmute yourself if you want to say something. Dr. Aziz, you have to unmute, please.
I don't know what happened to my screen suddenly, but as I mentioned in my webinar, there is actually there was a fever for date palm cultivation in many countries. I know that about India, that they start about more than 15 years ago, and they have berhi in an area more than 15 hectares there, and they exported its berhi to all of countries. But if we talk about the world, because the climate changes, I think these changes are good, good for the date palm. Maybe it's bad to other crops. It's not good for date palm, So I think it's not. True, I disagree with this. That many people don't like to cultivate date palm, but one reason maybe it's for this that some people don't like to cultivate date palm. It's a long-term, crops, because you have to wait for 6 or 7 years that you reach the commercial crops of date palm. Maybe this is one of the reasons that some people don't interested for date palm growing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Another very interesting question. In fact, I was looking for this kind of question because we had the expert who has established the entrepreneurship successfully. And this question is towards that by Chandani Mathur, that how can one think and start to set up a small scale, one room based entrepreneurship or startup for this crop, and with what requirement? I don't know which crop she has asked for, but certainly I would invite Mr. Soni to share his experience, because he started at a very small scale and has gone to a big scale. So, Mr. Soni, would you like to say something about this? Unless yes, Chandani Mathur wants some very specific crop.
Sir.
Yeah, please.
We need. Are you listening, me, sir?
Yes, please.
There is question of Chandani Mathur, how we can start a tissue culture laboratory and start with one crop. There is a need to start with small scale a tissue culture laboratory, and you have need to technical knowledge about media, about protocol, and you have an experience. If you have an experience, then you run your laboratory properly. But I think start with small scale, with the small amount of money, and then when you got some success, then you go for big scale tissue culture laboratory. Because if you start with big scale, you spend more money in starting phase, and you have not any practical knowledge, you have not properly technical know-hows, then you can't success in this field very easily. Then you have need to take any training for running a best tissue culture laboratory. Then you go with small scale tissue culture laboratory, then it's best for you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Soni. But I think for this kind of question, and I'm very happy that the youngsters have started thinking that one of the objectives of this kind of webinar are that to initiate the thinking in the youngster to become the entrepreneurs. Dr. Shukla is the most right person here from BCIL, who can help you to establish these startups, who can give you the guidance on the technical end or the financial end. Dr. Shukla, you want to say something at this juncture?
Yes, sir. I would request please write to BCIL. My email ID I will post in the chat. And just to supplement what Mr. Soni has said, first you should have the practical experience. There you write a small business plan. That financial component is very important. And don't jump on the starting a tisculture laboratory in the beginning. Have a small poly house, net house, connect with the farmers, develop some market. Then you think about setting up a small laboratory. But a small laboratory should have at least 0.5 million capacity, 5 lakhs plant, so that you can produce 2 to 3 lakhs plants. Then only it will be viable in terms of cost of plant. So we can discuss separately on that aspect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Shukla. I'm skipping some basic questions. If time will permit, I'll pick up again. But the important question is from Ravindra, that how to control heavy leaf drop in pomegranate in vitro cultures. We are also facing problem in good in vitro root induction. Requested to give suitable technical suggestion. Thank you. May I request Dr. Ali Reza from Iran to respond to this query? Dr. Ali Reza?
Yes, I think leaf drop in medium culture related to some factor like the light, mineral, and hormonal use in culture medium, and maybe mother plant in bad condition may resulted leaf fall in culture medium. Therefore, use some treatment to control this leaf drop, and think about why leaf drop.
Thank you, Professor. The one question I would like to pick up from here is that, is there any scope of training on date palm tissue culture? First, I would say the question is from Mohammad Kamrul Hassan. Maybe Dr. S.K. Singh may respond in context of India, and then Dr. Aziz may respond in context of Iran if there is a scope of training in date palm tissue culture. Dr. S.K. Singh?
Sir. Normally, sir, we are holding short-term courses for these. We had from our postgraduate school, we had self-financed training courses are there. But that we normally make when there is a group of around 16, 17, 18, 20 students. We try to have a common time. We fix a program for 3 months rather. We started with that because it was a self-financed thing, and it was very successful. Because out of that, I think 6 or 7, they opened their tissue culture companies with BCCIL funding. So it can be started. No problem. And I similarly, do suggest that if BCCIL feels so, we can have it. We have several of our labs here in Delhi, and we can get the young entrepreneurs who are interested to get a hands-on on these techniques. And also it will help them to get the projects for in specific crops, which what we are discussing today. So that will really help us. Rather to get them trained, and it will be. We are always there. No problem.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Dr. Aziz, how do you conduct the training programs, and what are the scopes in the Iran if someone is interested to approach you?
Actually, we had some courses for national courses for our colleagues, but if there is an applicant from other countries, maybe we can manage some courses for them too.
Okay, thank you. There is one question from Zinab Ahmed. It's a question for Dr. Gupta. What could be challenge for date palm genome editing like CRISPR-Cas? Yeah, Dr. Gupta, please.
Yeah. Right now, it looks a little difficult because basically the genome information, the complete genome information is not available for specific genes which need to be modified using CRISPR-Cas technology. That is a very basic problem. Then comes the tissue culture related problems like recalcitration of this calcitration of this plant. That is another problem that has been faced for carrying out the CRISPR-Cas. If we can identify, initial research work is to identify the genes which are responsible for whatever specific trait that we have in our mind, like say, for example, sugar content or the softness of the fruit. And these traits are more of quantitative traits. So sometimes it becomes difficult to use CRISPR-Cas for such quantitative traits. Single traits, it is a single gene governed traits, it is comparatively easier. So these are the present challenges, especially with date palm.
Thank you, Dr. Vidya Gupta. The another question is again for Dr. Aziz. The question is from Latifat Hassan. Is that which explant is suitable for regeneration in date palm aside suckers, and what is the best hormone to be used and at what concentration? Also, using shoot tip for regeneration through organogenesis produces leaf-like stem which died at the end of experiment. Please, how can this problem be addressed? Dr. Aziz, briefly, you would like to say something, because the question is big and the answer is also required very elaborated answer. He wants to know the best explant and the best medium, because he is having the problem of the regeneration.
You know, as I mentioned in my presentation, I don't know if this friend shows or not, but you know, the protocol, the main protocol that used for you know, propagation is very important. So there is a lot of the protocols, and the concentration of many hormones or any hormones in this protocol may cause abnormalities in your you know, seedlings. So based on the protocols and that mostly the medium is based on MS medium, but of course we do some modification for this you know, tissue culture, date palm tissue culture. Best way I think for date palm tissue culture is maybe organogenesis. In spite of it, it has a low rate for propagation, but it's have low rate of abnormalities too. But still we use actually in our companies the you know, direct embryogenesis for date palm tissue culture. Maybe this is a very short answer to this question.
Thank you. In fact, for all these questions, I would request to the participants that they can address this question to Dr. Shukla, who is the moderator from BCIL, and they can give, he can help you to get the more precise and elaborated answer from the experts. But I am prompted to take one more question. Last question, though there are several questions is still left out, which will be attended later on. But one question on this sugarcane, some participants from Vietnam asked that how the blackening of sugarcane tissue culture can be avoided. This question is addressed to Professor Inua Usman from Nigeria.
Okay, much. Yes, I think that's the main challenge with tissue culture of sugarcane. So the protocol has to have at the beginning the steps that can be taken to avoid that. And this starts with the selection of explant. In our lab, of the 3 explant types, leaf sections, axillary buds, and the apical meristem, we found that the most responsive and easy to clean is the apical meristem. Then the placement of the explant, initially it is inverted, and that tends to discourage the secretion of these phenolic substances. And also through the initiation and stabilization, in the media, you have to include antioxidants, ascorbic acid and citric acid into the medium. And then as well, you reduce the culture time. We subculture every 2 weeks into fresh media so that we discourage the browning. And then I shared a small note on that. I believe Dr. Shukla can share out that. But the whole issue about the development of an efficient protocol has to do with the control of phenolics, and also later on under the temporary immersion bioreactor system, it has to do with what you can do to avoid photooxidation, which also can lead to the browning. And at this stage, we use activated charcoal as well. So at different stages, you can use the antioxidants of citric acid, and then and then also at a later stage, when the plantlets are stabilized at the multiplication stage, you can now substitute this with activated charcoal, and it seems to be working very well in our laboratory. Thank you very much.
Just to supplement what Professor Inma said, when I was doing commercial discovery of sugarcane, we encountered the same problem. Sometimes this alternate liquid agar media, then solidified media, it helps. And adding adjuvant like polyvinyl pyridine (PVP), sometimes it has proved very excellent for the controlling browning.
Thank you, Dr. Shukla. And leaving some more question, because paucity of time, I hand over it to you, Dr. Shukla.
Thank you, sir. I will just take one very important question before last question from Dr. Ramalinga Reddy. O.R. Reddy is a very renowned person in the area of plant quarantine. So he has asked one question and suggested something. Question is that what about prioritizing a small fruit crop improvement through tissue culture technique? I think this question is addressed for Dr. S.K. Singh. What about prioritizing a small fruit crop improvement through tissue culture technique?
Exactly. I mean, this was if you see the history of plant tissue culture, it was born or it was made for crop improvement, because it was developed as a tool for crop improvement. So here, in vitro methods, we are using in vitro mutagenesis, then we are using the in vitro selection, then molecular variations, then use of anthers for DH technology, triploidy through endosperm culture. It can be anything. I say always that we are using tissue culture or in vitro methods for the maximum in our breeding program for a mango, grapes, and citrus here at IRI. And we are, ultimately seedless breeding is one of our program. In vitro embryo rescue for the seedless breeding, we released one varieties also. So that's what I'm saying. It has got so many uses. And we are, in any particular mandate crop, what you have, you prioritize the trait, and you can have like banana in vitro mutagenesis has yielded so many varieties, even for the fusarium well tolerance. So what I suggest that you can use it, and the latest what we have in plantar transformation, that also we are trying in mango. So it is giving results, positive results are there. We are trying. Of course, in woody perennials, it is lot of because we got to have a very sound, foolproof regeneration protocol. And many times when we went with the transformation thing, then we are suffering that. But we are working. It's a challenge. That's what the research is all about. And we are doing it. And you can use, n number of technology, what I listed in your priority crop, be it the strawberries, herbaceous, woody, anything. You can use it for creation of variation and you can get the desired result.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Singh. And Dr. Reddy also suggested to develop new protocol standard for many crops that we have noted down. So with this now, we'll move to the final session of this program. It is very encouraging to note that in spite of we exceeded 1 hour from the scheduled timeline, all the participants are with us. So this shows that this is a well accepted program and it is helping them to know more further. So now I would request the very key person of this entire concept of this webinar, Dr. Rishi Kumar Tyagi, who is heading EPCOB, Asia Pacific Consortium on Agriculture, Biotechnology and Bioresources in APARI. So in fact, he is the person who conceived this idea that let's have this webinar and to develop some kind of program in Asia Pacific region. So without much introduction to Dr. Tyagi, because he has done so much wonderful work in the area of plant biotechnology and headed many departments, authored many books, more than 100 research papers. So it is very long list. So directly, I would now request Dr. Rishi Kumar Tyagi to give the closing remark. Over to you, Dr. Tyagi.
Thank you, Dr. Shukla, for nice words. Maybe I deserve or not, but he, being a good friend of mine, he is always favorite of mine, and I am his favorite. So we are working together and very successfully, and hope to work in future also. Dr. Shukla, I will not take much time because we are already so late, but 2-3 points I want to recapitulate what I have learned from this whole discussion. And I'm sure everyone, as you have mentioned, I see on the participant about 200 participants here on the listed and many more on the YouTube. So it has been very lively discussion. In fact, it would have been lively discussion because the selection of the experts and their expertise, what we have used in this webinar for the benefit of the participants is very well articulated. Though there were the limitation of the time, limitation of the crops, but you cannot handle all the crops and all the issues at the time. What I noticed that through the poll questions or the questions which have been raised by the participants, 2-3 important point is that everybody is of the opinion that there's a need of capacity building. Capacity building is required, though tissue culture is not very new. Tissue culture is very old. Although some speaker or some expert was, I think Dr. S.K. Singh was mentioning that tissue culture is not a science or biotechnology, but I say it is the most successful biotechnology. And we have seen not only in India, in several other countries, you have seen right now here, and Dr. Aziz Torai and Dr. Ali Reza has mentioned about the very difficult crops, date palm, working for 7 years and waiting for the response, like in date crop, like date palm. It's a lot of patience is required. And when these protocols and all these techniques are successful, then you can celebrate the success of all these technologies. So tissue culture cannot be undermined because, as Dr. Ravi has also mentioned in his opening remarks, that Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations have reinstated the importance of the biotechnology, and tissue culture is also figured in that. So a lot of emphasis in the region or at the country level or nation level is given to the tissue culture. That is why we organize this series of seminars. So 4 seminars in this series we are going to organize. 2 already has been done, including today, 2 more yet to come. So point what I was trying to say that I noted is, one is the capacity building, because though the science is not very new, but several entrepreneurship, what we have seen, the example of Mr. Soni, and we have seen the example in last webinar also, that entrepreneurship is coming up. And in context of India or the South Asia particularly, if I say, that tissue culture has been very successful and very, very well adopted in the entrepreneurship programs also with these startups. The second point was I noticed this quality planting material. So the quality planting material can be developed with the right protocol. And also what Dr. Vidya has emphasized, and all the speakers, all the experts have emphasized in their respective crops, that the genetic stability, because true to typeness is most important when you adopt the tissue culture. I have been working in tissue culture for a long time, but not for the micropropagation purpose, because the mandate of my organization where I was working earlier was to conservation, using the tissue culture for the conservation of germ plant purpose. So it was micropropagation, you will have to have per unit time more plants, but when you go for the conservation adopting these techniques, it is the less number of growth. The growth has to be shortened, or growth has to be not to be allowed, so that you will have to develop the protocol like that. So quality planting material is most important, and the interest, this commercialization entrepreneurship. The one of the objective of this webinar is to create the interest for the commercialization, because academically we have the protocols, we have some trained scientists also, but the youngsters or the women entrepreneurship is required all over the region if we look at the bigger picture or the bigger canvas at the regional level. And then somebody was suggesting in the chat that we need to have a database of the tissue culture expert, so that the partnership can be developed, so the networking can be developed. If one is having the problem in their system, they can have the interaction. And I believe, Dr. Shukla can correct me, that BCL has developed a good database of the tissue culture expert. And not only they have developed, but they have been striving very hard to develop the capacity building programs in Asia or in Africa, and they have successfully trained a lot of people. Nevertheless, this doesn't end up here, because as Dr. Shukla also mentioned in the beginning, that the objective of this webinar is that to take this program, to take technology at the higher scale by including the capacity building or the research aspects or the commercial aspects or the entrepreneurship aspect. So we are looking for a big picture after concluding this webinar series. So we'll not take more time. I stop here. I thank to all the people who are here. First of all, that I would like to thank Dr. Ravi Ketrapal, who is the Executive Secretary of APARI, and for his time, and in fact, he has been guiding for all these things. Dr. Purnima Sharma from BCIL. So we started talking with through Dr. Shukla, and we developed this program. So we are thankful to, I'm extremely thankful to Dr. Purnima Sharma. Then today's speaker, who have very comprehensively covered, Dr. S.K. Singh, the head Fruit and Horticulture Technology Division. I'm sorry, I forgot to my very dear friend, Dr. Prabhat, Horticulture Commissioner. And Dr. Prabhat, I want to congratulate you again, because I'm meeting you first time after assuming the charge of the Horticulture Commissioner. So who has given the idea, or has given the viewpoint of the Indian government, that how they are going to take up this horticulture mission to adopting this, using this technology. So thank you, Dr. Prabhat, for taking out the time. And thank you, Dr. S.K. Singh, and thank you, Mr. Vinod Soni. Actually, I am very impressed. We have documented his success in a document which Dr. Shukla has shared, that reference. So for sharing his experience. The two experts from Iran, Dr. Aziz Torai and Dr. Ali Reza Boniampur, both I'm very thankful to both of you. And I'm thankful to Dr. Thuraj Walina Saab also. In fact, he gave you the reference, and we could connect you for that. And I'm sure that participants have been benefited by the date palm as well as the pomegranate, what has been done in the Central Asia or the Iran particularly. I thank you, Dr. Tarun Arora, Dr. Inu Osman for elaborating the tissue culture on the sugarcane. Dr. Vidya Gupta, particularly your inputs for this in panel discussion on the genetic stability are worth very well received by the participants, and they have created interest. Maybe I think some of them through Dr. Shukla, they will approach you, and you have been kind enough to share your email for that. And I think I don't want to take any risk to leave any name, but finally I would come to Dr. Shukla, with whom we have been working to organize these webinars. And so meticulously, Dr. Shukla, you and your team have been doing this job. And we are very happy and hope that our collaboration, which is also one of the SDG, the partnership, SDG number 17. So we are also contributing into that SDG through working with the BCIL. And finally, I want to thank your team member. I don't know their name, but the team from Apari side also, Mr. Jack Karath is there, Dr. Jack is there, who have been working behind the scene. So thank you so much. Unless Dr. Shukla want to say anything, I stop here. And before that is stopping, I would like to request to all the participants and the experts, speakers, to switch on their video so that some of the screenshots can be captured for the record as well as for the memory. And I request Jack to click the shots. Jack is there.
Jack, I will invite you to turn on the webcam and let's have 2 times of the group photo. I'll count 3, 2, 1. All right, wait a second. Let me save it. Let's do it again. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
Thank you, one and all, for this important program and joining us.
And one more thing that I forgot to tell, that the next webinar would be, we are having on the woody plants. Bamboo and teak will be the focus. That will be held on 29th July on the same time. So please join that webinar who are interested in woody plants. Thank you so much.
Thank you once again. So with your permission, we can close it now.
Bye.
Sir, thank you so much. I will come to meet you personally.
Thank you very much. And Shuklaji, you just planned to meet me because we are actually planning to have a national grid of planting material production.
Sure, sir. I will come to meet
you. Because you see a lot of insight I got, and I missed my many meetings to attend it. But I thought that I must be here because on perennial tissue culture, we need, emphasis. Nowadays, we are importing one thing people have not discussed. It is a policy issue. How to tackle the IPR, intellectual property, material from there and multiplying in India. That is the one issue people have not flagged it. In the most of the cases, if we are importing the planting, any tissue cultural item from there, like that Sony was telling about the US, root stock. What mechanism he has actually adopted? Because once you have taken it, there is a provision in the Europe. It is not only royalty on your planting material, but on produce also, if you go into detail of the rule. So if we are taking here, it's a very easy and it is a fancy entering into a business, then that is a problem. So that should be solved at this level can be, because a lot of people are sitting here, not from India only, but we are having a lot of scope. Can we have, sort of concept note, how to go for strengthening of the total quality planting material supply mechanism in India? That is very much important, and at a national level, people are discussing it. But I'm happy to know that you people are at least taking care of the viruses through your certification. We will discuss and we will put in the path any plant if it is going through the MIDS, particularly our mission on integrated development horticulture. It should come from your certified nursery. That we will put and discuss in our guideline. But we need a mega, concept note for that. And government is willing to come up with the scheme also. So it is from my side, if you people can help us, we can propose a mega scheme in India and you see, even outsourcing. I'm not going into detail, but I'll tell you, India should become a planting material production hub to others. That is the potential lying in India that we have to look after, not only fulfilling our demand, even fulfilling others' demand also, being a cost effective. That you can discuss in the detail. Thank you very much, Shukla ji, for giving opportunity, and Tyagi sir for giving me this opportunity to me and be with you.
Dr. Prabhat, you prompted me to say I wanted to say it later at personal level, but you prompted me. In fact, what you have said very correct at the national level. But can India, because India has a lot of expertise in a lot of crops, can we think of to scale it up at the regional level to establish the leadership of India in the region? And particularly in the capacity building and all that, if Indian government can take up this initiative to take up some capacity building programs. So BCIL is there, we are there. We can think of something like that for the particularly quality planting material you have mentioned, because that also require the capacity building, protocol development, or the virus testing, genetic stability. So something to that effect, it can be thought of. We stop here. We can talk at later in that way.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you and bye.
Have a good day to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you and goodbye.
Namaskar.